Hello and welcome to Conquering Alba, where we take you to the historical places that helped make Scotland what it is today. Today's episode is part 2 as again we visit Linlithgow Palace. Parts of the palace are still restricted due to masonry work, so it does make it a bit difficult walking around, but we hope you enjoy the video regardless. James I had begun work on the new palace shortly after his return from captivity in England. Over the course of the next century and more, his heirs completed the great task. The palace highlights include the Great Hall built for James I, royal apartments added by James IV in 1488 to 1513, a three-tiered courtyard fountain added by James V in 1538, and a north quarter rebuilt for James VI in 1567 to 1625. The end result was a hugely impressive quadrangular palace, its four ranges grouped around a central courtyard. For most visitors to Linlithgow Palace, two spaces best capture the richness and colour of the medieval court, the chapel and the Great Hall. James Hall is the centrepiece of the palace, which he and Joan built on the fire-damaged ruins of the later 14th century royal manor at Linlithgow. It is one of the most magnificent spaces to survive from medieval Scotland, even in its roofless state. It occupies the whole upper level of the palace's east quarter and, as originally conceived, formed the main feature that visitors to the palace would have seen as they approached the principal gate. At the south end was the withdrawn chambers where the king and queen would have retired. At the north end, rising through three levels, was the sequence of spacious kitchens which supplied the food. It was a magnificent work of early Renaissance architecture, one of the finest erected in Northern Europe, modelled, it is believed, on the palaces of early 15th century Rome, and combining the sophistication of ceremonial space with the practicality of integrated service arrangements. The ornate fountain which graces the courtyard at Linlithgow Palace was built by James V in 1538. It stands over 16 feet high and designed to reflect the supreme power of the king. It probably was fed by an underground water supply which was piped up to the curved crown at the top. Water fell from the crown, suggesting the king's benevolence, into teetered bowls and out through rows of spouts shaped like mythical beasts in human heads. One of them is said to represent James V, disguised as a peasant. When Bonnie Prince Charlie visited Linlithgow in 1745, the fountain was made to flow with wine. This was probably not the first time it had happened. Another source suggests James V had the same idea on his marriage to Mary of Guise. In 2007, the fountain was restored by Historic Scotland so that water can now flow through again, although it is not kept running because of the risk of erosion.
That takes you. Well, that doesn't. No. Dai, facciamo, so done.
During the reigns of James III and IV, building progressed until the palace became enclosed in its present square plan. The West Range, which we are currently in, was the last to be completed. It contained the new royal apartments for James IV and his Queen Margaret Tudor, daughter of English King Henry VII. A new chapel was built and many renovations carried out, including rebuilding the kitchens and re-roofing the Great Hall.
Exercise.
The hall that we see today is the result of modifications in the later 15th, 16th and early 17th centuries. But none of these alterations changed the overall sense and scale of space. It was entered originally through a doorway reached via a timber stair from the northeast corner of the courtyard, later replaced by a stair turret in the northeast angle. This opened into what was known as the Screens Passage, a space that linked the kitchens to the hall, with the service hatches on the north stairs down to the lower kitchens, pantry and ale cellars at either end, up to the minstrel's gallery over the screens and doorways to the hall. Even today, the hall is a magnificent, if not majestic space, once roofed by a high open timbered ceiling like those at the great halls in Edinburgh and Stirling. Most work to the palace was done by about 1633, although in 1650, when Oliver Cromwell and his army arrived, they smashed much of the statuary in the chapel and courtyard. By the time the monarchy was restored, the palace was becoming ruinous. Bonnie Prince Charlie stayed here briefly en route to reclaim Edinburgh in late 1745. A few months later, Charles was fleeing to the Highlands, and a fire ended the splendour of the palace. We hope you've enjoyed parts 1 and parts 2 of Linlithgow Palace. It is a magnificent and majestic feature of medieval Scotland, and it is no surprise so many royals visited here. If you have enjoyed both videos, please like and subscribe for more of Scotland's history, and until next time, Alba go bra.